Welcome, folks, to another episode of the Texonnect Voices. I'm super excited. We're moving quickly through season 2. And in season 2, as you know, all the episodes that you've seen already, we've been tackling artificial intelligence. It's modern age, it's modern times, and artificial intelligence is playing such a huge role. We've talked about artificial intelligence in edtech. We've talked about artificial intelligence in fintech. We've talked about artificial intelligence in the medical area. And we have a part 2 of that coming with a different expert. We've also talked about artificial intelligence in warfare, and that was super exciting, wasn't it? Well, today we have yet another amazing expert. It's Dr. Boison, and we're engaging with him on artificial intelligence in maritime and transport industry. But first we need to establish ethos. So Dr. Boison, welcome. And I'm sure our listeners will want to know a little bit about you and your past so you understand how much credibility you have in this area and what you've done. He's done a lot, trust me. But I want you to hear it directly from him. Welcome, Dr. Boison.
All right, thank you so much for being on this show. My background is in the port and maritime industry, but I started with accounting. I have a first degree in accounting, and then accounting and finance, and then veered into supply chain. So I hold 2 masters, one in supply chain and another one in management information system.
Interesting.
And it was around that time that I got into this maritime and port. And rose to become the head of IT. So actually, what we call the paperless port you see today, it was actually my project.
Wow.
So from initiation to execution, I worked with then GCNet and West Blue,
Kawasaki and Co.
Kawasaki, and then Jonathan and all those guys, Alute and all that. And we did a very good work when West Blue came in to connect.
I remember that.
Yeah, Valentina and her team. So around that time, I was doing my PhD.
Okay.
And
your PhD is in
the first PhD was in business administration.
Interesting.
And specialty in the supply chain, and we did some sort of simulation. It's one of the project that confirmed the expansion of the port. There's 1.5 billion investment that MPS was engaging. The contractors and the experts had already done their report, but the thesis I did, confirmed that what they did
was
wrong. And then last year I wanted an industrial PhD, so I went for another one in port operations and logistics. Wow. Where because of these exploits in the AI industry, it was important that I really position myself within the industry. Very few people in this country hold that degree. So
and in the recently finished or the recently launched AI conference platform, on that conference, I heard you boldly make some statements about the way people need to relook at the way they look at AI. You were especially, should I say, bashing the professors who have a problem with students, when basically let them know this is the new world. You cannot fight this when you're sending the questions from the same platform and turning around. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. Around this, whilst somewhere, I think 2 years ago, I had been following AI for the past decade. In fact, we had done some work. We wanted to automate how theses are written or dissertations are written. But once we pass all the logic and the whatever, then you need a large data set. And then at that time, very, very expensive. So we had to rework and be downloading some papers from these high index journals and all that. So when we had OpenAI, then opened the
Holy Grail.
We were one of the first guys who went for their API, and then we developed what we call the Scholar Write AI. We go online, where can write, academic papers, for you in a manner that doesn't, fault the ethical standards. So that is something we put out there. People don't even know we did it. People see me and tell me, this is a Western package. I say, that's fine. But when you pay, it comes to me anyway. So we had done that. So within that transition, coming to what you said, we realized that there's some sort of, whilst the Western world were pushing the AI, making sure that they integrate into their systems and all that, we were actually doing anti-AI, which was, for me, I thought that it was productive. So that was why I made that statement. And also to learn that now US, Trump passed an executive order to integrate AI from kindergarten to the university. And then China is doing that on the 1st of September.
The world really
so
changing.
I told one group that if you see China do anything, keep quiet and follow.
Yeah.
That's all I'll tell you. Don't ask questions, just keep quiet.
Because those guys really know what they're doing.
They really know what they're doing. So that's why I passed that statement. And I think increasingly, now that Singapore is already doing AI from kindergarten, South Korea is doing the same thing. Now, I think it's dawning on African countries that, hey,
it's time for us to step up.
It's time for us to
Especially if we want to catch up and we want to take advantage of this to speed up and catch up with everybody else. Interesting. So today we're here, maritime and transport industry. Dr. Boison, first and foremost, I'd like to know, how is AI currently transforming operations in the maritime and transport sectors, particularly in ports, shipping, and logistics, which are your area?
Okay, so we're taking these two concepts, maritime and then transport.
Exactly.
Right. Marine activity has to do with the sea.
Of course.
Right, and 71%, almost 71% of the earth is covered by sea.
Absolutely.
So it makes the sea a very important.
I like the way you're approaching this. It's like you're back in the classroom and you're lecturing them. So you better be taking your notes. But I'm learning. I hope you're learning too.
So it means that the marine environment is very, very pivotal to our development. ONTAG estimates that almost cargo that is carried by sea, 90% in volume is carried by sea.
So most cargo that is carried
comes
transferred,
to 90%
of it, of course, because it's much, much cheaper.
Yeah.
And it can take more volume.
So the fact of the matter is that the money is really at that side. Okay. And of course, we also need to protect marine lives. There's fishery in there, which is part of maritime industry. There's a lot of activities that goes on there. People, I don't know whether you're aware that the data centers are built beneath.
Sometimes underwater, yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes beneath the water.
So these things run on batteries.
They run on batteries.
That's poisonous.
Very good.
Yeah.
And then also, most of our fibers are run
submarine cables.
Submarine cables. So the maritime industry offers a lot of opportunities. For us.
And I don't think people really understand how complicated the maritime or marine is. For example, sometimes ecosystems, if water mixes, it can be dangerous to one life versus the other.
Exactly.
The way you fish, what's it called?
The petroling
and all those things. So it has to be systematic. And so the more we're not systematic, the more we're endangering the lives that we depend on to survive. Wow.
And that's why you have MAPO 5, their UNCLOS, you have SOLAS conventions. These are all conventions to protect life at sea and all that. So that is the marine part. But then now we have to transport goods and services. Now we come to the transportation. And now we are talking about sea transport. All right. So vessels have to move from their homeland, that we call the port of origin, go through the high seas, and then bring the cargo to the port of destination. You understand? So when we are talking about marine and transportation, that is how. So marine provides, let's say if it was road transport, it provides the street. You understand? The platform for vessels to move. So, and it is not cheap or easy for vessel to move from one destination to the other.
Yeah.
I mean, you have first generation, second generation. Now we are the fifth generation vessels that carry in excess of 20,000, 20 TU, 20 equivalent unit of containers. You know, the two, you have the 40.
Yeah,
but the unit is 20 equivalent units. And so just imagine that carries. And then when we talk about other types of cargo, like the bulk cargo, the conventional cargo, like you are bringing tipper trucks and all that, they are put on the ro-ro vessels that comes. And if they are liquid, then you have to bring tankers, to come and pump, at the dock for other people to have there. So it's a whole complicated environment. But let me state that the maritime industry has been using AI for the past half a century now. Because the vessels use radar systems. These radar systems have AI components in them. Otherwise, they wouldn't. But they've been used because these are on vessels and they are devices that are used, on containers. Containers have, the ref containers, they all have RFIDs that will monitor the health of, those frozen items. And these have been there for more than 50 years now. So they are AI is actually being used. And when the vessel moves, also comes to the dock and they are discharging, you have your restackers or the RTGs machines that takes the containers and put them there. Today, because of AI, now you have more improved systems.
Because you can collect more data.
You collect more data. So if a container comes today to the port and they capture the data, they know how long it spent in that port. You understand? And where it was stacked. When we say where it was stacked, where it was positioned. You understand? Because where it was positioned, if it took the port to do like 4 or 5 moves in taking out the container, it is recorded. All right? If it did, it is recorded. So the next 10 of that container, before the gantry crane or the RTGs picks it, it goes to the database and says that this one spent this number of time. And then through AI, it proposes an appropriate place to stack the container so that if they are, taking it out, they will not have to break the stack too much.
Exactly.
Because every move comes with fuel consumption.
And also comes with implications on time.
And time. So dwell time becomes an issue, and it also leads to what? Turnaround time of the vessel leads to an issue, and then dwell time of cargo, which are the main two main indicators that's used to measure port performance.
And I'm sure AI is able to analyze and see the shortest path.
Yeah, that's what it does.
To
put it and all that,
so and how more efficient.
It becomes more efficient. So that is how far it has improved. The efficiency of the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority, for instance, the MPS, terrain. If you need to go there.
And for our listeners, when you say MPS, you mean
Maritime Port Service,
MPS, Maritime Port Service, okay.
And they have taken, the ports, operation to the next level. The gantry cranes they have, and the equipment they have, I think it's one of the best, in the world as we speak. And recently, one of the largest ship that berthed. When a vessel is coming and you've not handled that vessel before, you need some high level of competency, and because you've not done before, okay, and especially they have to maneuver their way before they come to the berth. So you need your pilot who understand the grounds very well, because there are areas that might be rocky if you're not very careful. And these guys, I mean, kudos to Captain Fred Shen and then his group, and then, I mean, the Harbour Master. I mean, they did it like, I mean, it was, when I saw the news, I was amazed. If you're not in that industry, you wouldn't understand.
You won't appreciate the
no, because look at the vessel. Sometimes you go to a vessel, it looks like a city. You understand? So they bring this thing to dock. And I think...
and I think something that people don't even understand if you're not in the area, when a vessel is going to cross, especially if it's coming from far, there's a certain depth it has to go into.
Yes.
And when it's going into that depth, sometimes it takes in water.
Yes.
Unfortunately, some of that water may be foreign water. When you come to a new place, you have to release some of that water for the thing to also come up. So all these things happen. They're quite complicated. And then they have implications on our ecosystem as well.
Exactly.
These are things that regulators and policymakers need to understand to protect our waters.
Yeah.
So if you don't, you just see a big box on sea, but there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on there. So predictive analytics, helping the port. We might talk later about CO2, but I delivered a lecture on SILT, Cameroon, and I did indicate that AI in the port industry is accounting for some $20 billion, dollars in terms of its value, and it will grow, exponentially, given that now there are a lot of systems that are coming in place that is reducing the manual aspect of what the handling cargo and all that. And if Sub-Saharan Africa are to avail themselves, because Nigeria, for instance, implemented a system using analytics. They use AI and predictive analytics, but that has reduced the congestion at the Nigeria port. Kenya, I think also, did a similar. Rwanda also did a similar. South Africa also did a similar system. And if you look at how they have transitioned from the manual system to the use of AI, it has really improved their system. Even though the rate at which Africa is adopting is slower than how the Western world are doing. But
they also have the issues of legacy. So now they have to decide, what are we doing with this? What are we doing with the old systems? Whereas we're still sort of virgin territory, so moving into it is not as complicated.
But you see, the other thing is that, you see, if research has shown that from now to 2030, no, even 2050, Sub-Saharan Africa is going to have the most youngest population.
Of course, 1 out of every 4 will be African.
So what it means is that the labor is here. Now, because of that, most Western companies are moving to Sub-Saharan Africa.
Absolutely. Most of the workforce by 2050 are currently either just being born up to about the age 10.
Yeah.
That will give us 20 to 30.
Very good.
Yes.
So they are moving, companies are moving here. But when they are moving, they have to move with their goods.
Yes.
You understand?
Exactly.
Their component.
Exactly.
And that is why the maritime industry and the transportation industry is going to boom.
Yeah.
It's going to have an exponential growth.
You need to be ready for it.
You need to be ready for it.
So we need to be ready for it so that our locals can have jobs.
Exactly.
Otherwise, if we show that we can't meet the demand, then they will make justification to bring their people, which is not good for us.
Which is not good for us because local content. So there's a need for us to upscale the training of those in the maritime industry, especially women in maritime industry. We need to do that. And also, what kind of skill sets, would we need from now to 2030? Gardner predicts that, AI, skill set will be one of the leading data analytics, computer vision and all that, but projects AI as one of the main skill sets. So it means that if you have in the port, you have somebody who is a cargo, maybe officer or stacking manager. That person will not use the tallies anymore.
If you want to rely on your experience or your manual way of thinking,
Yes.
when somebody, then you'll be taking 2 weeks saying, look, this will take a week.
A week.
Meanwhile, your colleague is doing it in 5 minutes. At some
5
point, you're
minutes.
asking, why am I keeping
Yes.
you here?
Why am I keeping you? And it's really going to slash, the manual work down. So I tell people that they should get into what I call the AI economy. I've written something on it. If you go to my Joy Online, the AI economy within the value chain, for instance, for the port, from the port of origin, before cargo moves from that place, the work of the shipping agent, and then, the consignee there, they put it on it, the vessel manifests issues before it comes to the port of discharge. Okay, all the agencies that are involved, customs are part. You have PPRSD, you have Ghana Standard Authority, Ghana Food Agency, you have authority, you have also...
You have free zones there too.
Yeah, free zones also there. You also have that of Environmental Protection Agency. All these guys come in, and the ship chandlers are also there to do their work. You understand? That those who are to take the waste from the, and those who are to do bunkering are there. Then the ports, the terminal who have to also handle the cargo, the movement of cargo, and
It's
all
a whole ecosystem.
So it's a
there.
whole chain, and you see the sad aspect that we are not. The reason why we are not seeing this is that AI is going to revolutionize every aspect of. So the ports, the terminals should now integrate AI training as one of the core in whatever they do. Because otherwise, you'll be there one day, you'll be asked to go home.
Exactly. Because we won't see your relevance.
No, they won't see it.
The AI system itself will say there's a bottleneck here. We need to remove it.
Yeah.
So, based on what you're saying, what are the most promising AI technologies? I know there's predictive analytics, computer vision, autonomous systems. Which ones are being adopted in maritime and transport specifically?
Predictive analysis, of course, it's huge. Now, that is what, in the port industry, the currency is time. Time is everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So because people charter vessels. The vessels
Because
you see,
they charge per.
They charge per. The number of days you are going to. When they come to your port and they are calling, okay, and it takes you, let's say, 3 days to work on one vessel, then that's a problem for them.
Huge problem.
So they would have to be able to offload the cargo and unload empties or unload laden containers before.
Sometimes that determines them deciding, let's just pass it through Togo port and then unpack onto the road, because
that is why now if your port becomes a hub, you make the most money. You know why? Because if your port is a second call, then they will not probably use the same vessel they will go and offload the cargo, then they use some tramp vessels, some coastal ones to bring you understand? But if it becomes a straight route, guess what? And if you do the math, when one vessel berths, a vessel with a very high tonnage, you are looking in the region of about $1 million being spent across the value chain. But if you bring a tramp vessel, then it's going to be...
And now we need to look at beyond the port. How quickly can they berth at your port? Do you have the transportation system to distribute?
Exactly.
And very quickly too, and very easily, and very efficiently.
Exactly.
Which comes down to our traffic and all those things.
Traffic on it.
Then, like you said, alternative, can they pass it into another ship to port?
Yeah.
And so forth and so on. So it's a very complicated industry, I see.
Yeah.
And it looks like it requires a lot of conversations with the different parts.
Yeah.
And everybody needs to understand how to play their part well, so they benefit from. Wow.
So that's how it looks like. So MPS was Meridian Port Service was or Tema Port was voted, I think, somewhere 2-3 years ago as one of the busiest ports.
Wow.
The Sam region, which was good for us.
Wow.
Okay. Busiest port means that there are a lot of vessels that we work on, and that also means more revenue, for the country, because in terms of direct taxes, the port accounts for nearly between 55 to 60%.
Wow.
For the country.
Wow.
So, and we are talking about direct duty taxes that you pay, to the port. So, if there are more vessels, we have more business, more cash in the system, and that is why implementing some of these technologies should be very, very key, because then it helps us attract more, trade into our region. So I talked about predictive analysis.
Yes,
Computer vision is also being implemented, because it helps in cargo inspection. This, what they use, the scanners that I use, at the ports for scanning cargo, so that we don't open the cargo for inspection. Most of the technologies that I use are computer vision, that are able to identify the content, do the analysis and all that, so that we will not open the cargo.
People's stuff,
it will move. But most times, the consignees will not. When you want to use the scanner, you need to pack your items in a certain manner. There are certain conventions that you need to follow.
So that you can see clearly.
You can see clearly. But it then also becomes a problem, because then from the port of origin, there should be some sort of communication, within that port and this port. If you're saying, like if you're going to send product to the US, there are pre-cargo inspections that are done before you go there. They wouldn't take anything, you understand? So when you come in here, people put about this small cars, about 5 or 6.
Of course, because that's the way it makes it.
Yeah, to be able to reduce the cost and all that. So these are issues that are there. But I think that
conventions.
I think that with time, computer vision will improve, and how cargos are stacked in these containers, they will change. But it's also one technology, but we also have the autonomous systems that are also, in place, where you have, when you vet a vessel, for instance, you have tugboats that helps you they are the ones that direct the vessel. In fact, they put the engine of the vessel off. When it's coming to dock, they put it off. So it is the tugboats that's,
engines.
Yeah, it hits it and then directs it. Now, most of these tugboats, we used to have tug masters who drive them. Now, because of AI and automation, you have the system working for itself, and given the dimensions and everything, they bring them in. There's something called mooring. When the vessel comes to the berth, they tie a rope to a very big, we call it bollard, big one. So that once the vessel is there, the tidals, the waves will be hitting it. So if you're not very careful, it will be drifting. So it is stacked with the rope. Now, there are machines that today do that. It's a very, very risky work. If you don't tie it, when people die, the rope is able to slash people into two and all that. But now there are machines, automated machines that. And we are even getting to a situation where the restackers and then the cranes are actually not being operated by crane operators. They are not on site. So there is the Shanghun port in China. Works 24 hours, 7 days a week, and there's no soul on site.
Wow.
They are all outside and operating.
Remote working.
Remote working, they are doing that. So, you have autonomous systems also.
And even for us to get the MTN has to be reliable.
So all these systems are in place, and they are heavily being implemented in most of the ports. In Asia and in Europe and then the US. You have most ports doing that, and it's also reduced issues of accident and incidents and all that. I mean, those times you realize that there are very fatal accidents at the port. I mean, when every sucker is coming back, no, you can't even hear because of the noise. It will run over people and all that. But today, autonomous systems are being used and it's helping. And even Murphy trucks that lift the containers, you understand? They are being operated, I mean, outside, I mean, the port. Okay, there's a control room where people, and then there's a GPS that is marked with the outlay, and it helps in moving
things around. Now, talking about these safety issues that you mentioned, what role does AI play in enhancing safety and minimizing human error? You've talked about the consequence, the fact that it's safer, but how does it directly do this when it comes to maritime navigation and port operations? So,
I give you a typical example. So, let's take the MPS as an example. So, they used to use these manual restackers to lift containers and then stack them, right? And the stacking of the containers is positioning the container so that when the consignee needs the container, they come and then you break the stack, you go into it and then lift it. It used to be so. Now, today, the whole place is on GPS, all right, which is in the system. So you don't spend time look for containers. If you want a container, once you type, it tells you where it is. But also note that because it's AI enabled, where the system predicted that it should be is the most efficient place that can be removed without any movement. Okay, and because it is that place is all on GPS. Now you don't have human beings who are walking around looking for containers. Can you imagine those times you have somebody to walk you to the place and say, this is your container? And then today the person sits in the room and he sees the container.
And so, you even see where it is.
Yeah, you see it. So, I mean, that takes. And there is also a holding area where MPS, that they don't do what we call divanning. They don't open the containers in there. You have to transport to another terminal for that. That is where the custom officers come and they open. But I think other countries, containers are not opened. Other ports, they are not open because they have a very efficient systems. They have scanners that are able to scan, gamma scanners that are able to scan almost everything. So they don't need to do that. So that reduces the human presence, the danger and all that. And now some of the equipment are very smart to the extent that they are very conscious where they are. In fact, when they are moving backwards and there is any object, it will stop. First, those times we didn't have that. So that is integrating safety into, this recent vehicles when you are driving and there's a vehicle ahead of you and you are getting close, it will stop by itself. I mean, that technology is also being implemented.
Or at least beep.
At the port. Yeah. And then some ports are also the ID cards that they give, the ISPS code mandates that everyone who gets into the port
has to have an ID card.
Have to be identified. That is it. So that when something happens, we know you are.
We know you are.
But today, ID cards have proximity, point of whatever in it, right? That really, once you're moving around the port, they know where you are. Yeah. Yeah. So when there is any issue, they are able to, know the number of people who are in the port, who are supposed to be. And there are restricted places that when you begin to go there, it will beep at the security point. These things are all safety, measures that are being put. But on the high seas, of course, the SOLAS conventions, the MAPO 5R, these conventions are most of the ports are not compliant. And it's most of the times with those in Africa.
Yeah.
But once we begin to help, with this compliance, it helps with the,
But I mean, beyond the compliance, I think, and that's why, programs like this, TechConnect Voices, is important, because also when we sensitize the population, then they don't try to get around it, but they understand it's for their own safety.
Yeah,
so they try to push even the officers to comply as well.
Yeah.
But when we don't understand these things, we see them as nuisances,
Yeah.
we see them as, antagonistic, and then we want to find ways to get around it. Somebody will tell you, hey, don't arrange it like that, they will charge you more, so do it like this, and we'll try to find and
it's for your own safety. Yeah.
Exactly. You let me bring you back. You were talking initially about CO2 and a few things like that. In what ways can AI support decarbonization and environmental compliance efforts in the maritime industry?
So when we talk about decarbonization, we are talking about CO2, which, the gas emissions have its own implication on the greenhouse effect and all that. And the more we reduce CO2, the more safe it is for us. Today we are all talking about green energy. So it means that vessels of yesterday that emit more CO2s. We need to look at how we correct that. So now there are other alternatives like the hydrogen fuel that is being implemented. So the next generation of vessels that we're going to have are going to be vessels that will not emit more CO2s. You understand? And rather uses this other alternative green energy fuel, so that it will help address some of these things. It's a global problem, and if we don't look at it, and that's why MAPO 5 they are very strict.
So what's the full thing for MAPO?
I'll get it for you. Okay. They have written extensively on the MAPO conventions and of course.
And I'll need you to point me later to all these articles you talked about.
No, if you just Google My Joy Online, you type my name, you will see.
Okay.
Yeah, on it. I've written extensively on, even flag of convenience. People buy their vessels and register it in Ghana because we call it flag of convenience.
Interesting.
because the taxes and then the rules and the regulations and they are all at Liberia has a lot of vessels that are registered under their name, and Panama where the Panama Canal is, they've also registered a number of, and those guys flout these conventions, and these are issues because they know that when they register under a Ghanaian name, it means that they are not paying too much taxes, and they check. And then the requirement has also, the restrictions are not
as tight.
They are tight with other Western world and all. So I did something with that. So the point is that we need to discourage, or better still, put measures in place to reduce, the carbon emissions, because that is actually affecting, the industry. So green fuel is part, hydrogen is part, and I think we have other type of alternate green fuels that can be used. You understand, to avert some of these problems.
Now let's talk about supply chain resilience and sustainability. How is AI helping improve that, especially in the face of global disruptions like pandemics, what happened with COVID, or geopolitical tensions?
Supply chain sustainability.
Yes.
Okay,
and
so
resilience.
Okay, that word is a big word. Now, what we have just discussed is within the context of supply chain and obviously port supply chain. So the supply chain within the port industry, like I said, starts from the let me make it practical. You go to London, and you would want to bring some cars from London to Ghana. So what you do is that you engage maybe a car manufacturer. Okay, that's where the discussion starts. Okay.
The touch point.
So we are saying that from that point to the time where,
From the point where you decide that I'm going to send the car through port.
And then you engage an export agent. The export agent now finds a vessel, finds a port, finds a vessel. And then the vessel gives space.
Specifications and space.
And all that. Then the vessel is manifested. In other words, the description of everything you have is put on the manifest. So the manifest is actually what the issue is, the bill of lading, which is a document of title. You understand? So the aggregation of the bill of lading becomes a manifest. You understand? So the vessel, those who operate the vessel, they take the ship captain takes everything. And then now they begin to move, from the port of load to the destination port. In some ports, they give a period of 2 weeks. They have to receive the manifest 2 weeks before the time to help them plan
to receive it.
To receive the cargo. And they take everything in the vessel, the stacking strategy, and everything, and then send it. So that when they bring the vessel berths, they will know how to offload the cargo. So, because it's important to know that sometimes the way the cargo is stacked will mean that they have to do a lot of moves, put some cargo down, and then move it. You understand? All these things are taken into consideration when they know which country's cargo should be on the top or in the middle and all that. So it is still
a form of queue management.
Yeah, queue management. So that would have to happen before it comes to the port of destination. And then when the cargo is also discharged, how fast it leaves the... So when you are talking about supply chain resilience, what you're looking at is that anything that obstructs this process, have we anticipated it? And are we ready to address those issues head on? That's where you become what? Resilient. What it means is that you have tested the vulnerability of the system. So for instance, you know that, okay, the vessels that are, the cargo that was on high seas, it's possible that some pirates
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, so if
you're looking at all the risks.
The risks involved. So you have the anticipated risks, the known one, the anticipated one, and how do you deal with it? That's how resilience works. And AI comes in now, because AI can now take one risk and predict about 10 in addition for you, and tell you that this risk has in it other risks. So in addressing these things, you do X, Y, Z. We used to do these things manually.
But okay, you can do it faster.
You can do it faster and all that.
If you take 20 degrees north, it may take you a little bit more time, but you avoid this heavy risk of Somalian pirates. So therefore, this may be worth it.
Yeah, you know? And today, vessels that are built against this pirate are vessels that even have in them carry a lot of water that dispels, these guys when they are coming with their tugboats.
Really?
Yeah, to the extent I can throw you very far.
Wow.
You understand? And more technologies. Because they do not want to be hostile, but they are protecting, within. Because, the pumps are such that when it takes you where it will throw you, you wouldn't even dare come. And now they are trying to, there are a lot of technology that will not allow some of these,
you will not board the boat.
You will not board the boat. Yeah.
I like this. Interesting. Wow. Okay. So what are the biggest challenges, technical, regulatory, or ethical, in integrating AI into maritime and transport systems?
So I was telling you the MAPO Annex 5, that's how it is called. I don't know, they have not given any But normally, what it does is that it deals with pollution by sewage from what? Ships. That's what it is. The sewage. So when you move from your port and you are coming to the next port, you have to provide a certificate of how you discharge your waste. Otherwise,
So you don't endanger somebody else.
yes. Otherwise, they will not allow you to berth your vessel.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
And then we have the SOLAS Convention. What is safety of life at sea? All right.
Get it now. Safety
Of life at sea.
At sea. Solar.
SOLAS, which also ensure that marine lives are what? Are preserved. Because we depend on these marine lives.
To live.
Yeah, to live.
Because
I
you're
think
bringing me something that
you've heard about the Bermuda Triangle and some complications. Maybe another time we will look at that has to do this. The life at sea is a different thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the captains of the ship and the seamen will tell you. Sometimes you go and see something that looks like an island. It's a whale. Yes, you might think it's an island, and these things are all. And sometimes there are some things that have rituals that have to be performed and a whole lot of things.
Wow.
I mean, when you have these guys, they will tell you. I mean, within the maritime
And I think the issue sometimes is even there's a direct effect and then there's the indirect.
Yes.
So you may affect a certain species which everybody thinks, oh, we don't eat that, we don't care about
No,
it.
no, but it has its
Other ones depend on it that come down to your livelihood.
Yeah.
So later you see problems. This thing is not coming, but you don't realize that it's because of this and the effect.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think you asked one question that I had to.
I was asking what the biggest challenges are: technical, regulatory, or ethical,
So-
in integrating AI into maritime.
Now, the
Besides, of course, the fact that the pirates and the bad actors do not want you to be more efficient, but beyond that.
so beyond that, you see, the challenges has to do with the fact that there has to be, the first one has to be some serious education. Okay. The port in itself, you see, because it's a whole ecosystem and everybody plays his part, the use of the AI, I mean, is more with the movement of the vessels and all that. Okay. Of course, when it comes to the port, the handling of cargo and other things. But when it comes to those who manage the port, it's the systems that they have in place. You understand? And the staff that work on those systems. There's a need for AI to be integrated into these systems. You get it? And also a need for the staff to be trained. So that, I mean, they are able to align with what is happening at the maritime port side. When it comes to the port side, you understand, that integration should be there. For instance, if I want to clear my cargo, when I think somewhere 2016 or 15, when I went to Dubai and I wanted to bring some goods, I just went to an office, where an open office, I put my cargo in there. Trust me, I spent 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And the guy asked me to go. I said, how? Because I work at the port and I know what happens. I said, should I go? He said, no, you don't have any problem. I should leave. It took my details. They took the cargo into a certain chamber. And they called me to, there was a gamma, a scanner that has gamma in gamma technology. And I was seeing my everything. It said that, so I want you to confirm. And then that was it. When I came to Ghana, I went to the airport. Do you know how long it took me? It took me 3 days to take the cargo out. To take the cargo out. You understand? Then I realized that these guys were doing, because they were using technology, and there was no need to, and in fact, they don't have clearing agents that clear the cargo for them. You, the consignee, you go in and then you pick your cargo. Okay, so there's that training. You see, let me say this. I was telling a group of people that the business of the AI should not be seen as a tool. AI is the business itself. Again, AI is not a tool that is used to write, papers. No.
Hashtag AI
No.
is not a tool. AI is
It's the business itself. Because, see, everything China has been doing for the past 50 years, they were using AI. Okay? You see, in terms of infrastructure, civil works, China has the largest train network in the world. And if you find out, they started using general artificial intelligence way ahead.
What is your excuse?
What is your excuse? So I think that we should look at it, and even in our own educational system. Okay? China, do you know what they've done? China do not teach anything from kindergarten to university that does not lead to the creation of goods or services. They don't do it.
Wow.
They don't do it.
So everything is productive.
So once from school, the guy knows what he's going to do. And now from September, they are putting this on the AI. One guy who is an AI expert said that in the next, by 2030, we should forget about it. No country can match China. We should forget about it. And I am not surprised, hurriedly, US has passed, the US president has signed an executive order because they know the implication that they have to integrate, AI from
AI wars.
Yeah.
So you keep drilling on the training. Let me ask you this. What skills and mindset will the future maritime workforce need to thrive in an AI-augmented environment?
So it's just a matter of looking at what you're doing. So today I do invoicing. All right. So if my rank or my designation is invoice officer, then it means that I'm going to be an AI invoice officer. So that is the AI economy I was talking about. This PwC and other research centers have estimated that the AI industry is projected to grow from now to 2030 within the region of $15.7 trillion. But that is conservative. It is way more than that. So the question is that, what is our market share? You get it? So if you look at the chain, in Agric, you have Agric extension officers. So they are AI Agric extension officers. That's what is going to happen within the industry. And I tell people that, see, apart from this, the AI has three main categories. We have those who do the infrastructure, the computing and all that. Then those who do the apps, like the ChatGPTs and then Geminis and all that. But more importantly, those who use the technology. And that's where prompt engineering comes in. And that's why...
the best prompters.
Who are the best prompters? Prompt engineers, if you Google right now, the minimum in the US is paid about $8,000. Per month. A prompt engineer. So then comes to the AI Africa project I'm managing. Because we are training 11 million Africans. The last time, yes, in AI, we've done already 250,000.
So how does this compare to the 1 million coders?
Let me come there. I don't know. So the project is sponsored by the African Diaspora Central Bank in collaboration with the Vanuatu Trade Commission.
We should be talking about this on TechConnect.
Yes. No, we can have a time to talk about this to know. So we know. I tell people this is a big elephant that has been killed. Just come because those experts we have on TechConnect who do that.
Absolutely.
Okay, because we are doing for 54 countries. We started 30th April 2024. Launch at British Council. And we've gone to Nigeria to train. Imo State, the governor has requested that we train 2 million of their people.
Wow.
Rwanda has requested for 3 million.
Wow.
And Ethiopia, proposal has been sent to them. And even Cambodia, which is outside Africa, is also wants to eat in. Now, So we've trained over 4,000 platinum trainers who can help us train. Unfortunately, most of them have left the country because now the embassies they have relaxed the visa requirement. If you have AI knowledge,
You are gone.
you are gone.
Wow.
You understand? So I think it's something that our brothers can also, tap in. I've started signing MOUs with some of the local, tech industries also to give them a bit of these trainings, to do and all that. So like I said, we are training more in prompt engineer because it is the users of the AI, you understand, that matters, not
Exactly.
not too much of how many people create, chatbots and all that.
Yeah.
So if we train them on how that you understand how the AI communicates to you.
And how to use it.
Yeah, and we've done a number of trainings, Accra Technical University. Recently we did for NITA, the IT team. We have done for Yamfo College of Health Sciences. We've done for Sunyani Technical University.
Interesting.
We've gone to Nigeria to train on the IPADA. I've trained online Eswatini, Vanuatu, Gambia, some South Africans. Those trainings were online. And I think that we can tap into, this even though I do create chatbots and all that,
But this is where
I've specialized in prompt engineering.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I have two last questions for you to wrap this up because it's been quite extensive. I want to make sure our listeners can download all this good information you've given us. How should the sector address concerns around data privacy, surveillance, and job displacement caused by automation? These are sensitive issues that people always want to know. So,
okay, I think I skipped the 1 million coders you mentioned. My advice is that it's a good initiative, and if you see the Honorable Sam George, he's posturing. You see that he's ready to run. Okay, and I think that I've taken time to listen to his interviews, and I see that he wants, to make sure that people really work. So the 1 million coders today, we really don't write codes. Google took 50% of their staff off.
And somebody very high up in one of these global industries said the same to me. He said, "You're training 1 million coders to do what? Because AI is doing what." But this is my take on it. My take on it is
but there's I'm told that was just the brand.
The brand, okay.
So when you go in, I've checked. There are cybersecurity guys and all that.
Absolutely.
So I just want us to speak within that context.
Yeah, but I actually wanted to even say that as a past programmer myself, there's a certain basic thing that human beings, we talk about literacy, and people reduce it to read and write, but it has to go beyond that, critical thinking, right? And there's a certain basic amount of logic that human beings need, as citizens, need to be able to appreciate for us not to have chaos, right?
Yeah.
And I think coding allows or pushes people to start applying that logic.
Yeah.
And that logic is also required for even what you talked about in prompting.
Prompting, yeah.
Those who can prompt properly are those who understand how to apply logic. So in a way, it's a feeder to your program.
Yeah. So what I quickly did was that I created a chatbot for them anyway. But I'm here to show it to Honorable Sam George that whatever they are doing, we can train those who be training them to guide these people to, because the most important thing here is for the people to learn how to interact with the AI.
Absolutely.
That is what they need.
Absolutely.
Nobody writes syntax today.
Absolutely.
So that is what it's
how to get the best out of it.
The best out of it. And that's what we specialize in, so that we will not waste our time. We wanted to do some project. Somebody wanted us to build a switch. I just put a team together. In just 2 months they are done. I'm talking about a payment switch that will rank or will compete with even Swift.
Wow.
You understand? But they've done it. These are people who didn't have any initial knowledge.
I wish you were at the Fair Africa Summit. I don't know if you were there.
No, I saw your pictures.
Actually, I have a talk on that. You should listen. I was Yeah, yeah.
These are people who they have zero knowledge, but they are done. Okay, just because they know how to prompt.
Interesting.
So then I can now answer
the
your
question around data privacy, like how should we, or how should the sector address concerns around data privacy, surveillance, and job displacement caused by automation?
All right, so let me take the job displacement. Now, there's this, I've been following Microsoft and Zuckerberg and these guys, and they keep saying that AI will, in 2030, people are going to lose their jobs, and they don't talk about the jobs that the AI will create. So the good news is that out of every 10 jobs the AI displaces, it creates 15.
Out of every 10, it creates 15.
It creates 15.
Wake up, guys.
So it is not that
it's not reducing jobs.
it's not reducing jobs, and as people see it, okay. But what we need to do is to make sure that we are AI compliant. That's what I tell people. So whatever you are doing in your, space,
little corner,
make sure you take a course in prompt engineering. You can take advantage of this AI Africa. It's sponsored though. It's paid for. Take advantage of it. If a minimum of 100, we can train you. You understand? So take advantage of it. People, I have a last group for the platinum
Texonnect, let's take 100 people immediately and take advantage of this.
There's a group that we just started training, cohort 4 for the trainers. These guys.
How long is this course?
Okay, for it we meet 5 times in 3 months. 5 official times. There are unofficial meetings because they work on use cases. Project in agric and all that. So that's what we do currently.
5 times in 3 months.
In 3 months. Currently, we are experimenting something in fish farming, using the IoT device and RFIDs, and then we are monitoring the health of the fingerlings and all that using AI technologies. And that's what these guys. What we say is that we are not interested in the theory. Theory should make sense. So it's more on hands-on.
Absolutely.
Now, these guys, when they came, I realized that these guys are machine learners and deep learners. But I tell you, when we took them into prompt engineering, they said that we now understand we're doing things very wrong. Because even the deep learning, you need prompting. The machine learning, you need prompting. So even those who create this AI chatbots and all that, last time I was telling Darlington that his health, app that is using. The Mino, yeah. I was just telling him that, you see, I can use it more efficiently than you. Do you know why? Because you see, you've trained the data on a certain pattern, but the AI learns 10 times what you train. So there are other data how to ask him. You understand? To be able to get the output, very well.
Goes back to what Tony Robbins said, where he says that your success is not dependent on the quality of answers you have, but the quality of questions that you ask. Do you know how to ask the right questions?
Exactly.
AI has access to the data. You can't know all of it. So how do you ask the right questions efficiently so you get what you need now?
Yeah.
Love it.
And people say, some of my write-ups that you see, people say, we've seen it, but did you use AI? I said, yes. But how come you write different?
Prompted.
It's prompted.
Exactly. What about data privacy and surveillance?
Yeah, the data privacy, I think that should go under this AI, Ghana AI strategy something, all right? The Data Protection Agency, they are there. And all
that's something maybe we need to pull Arnold.
Arnold should answer. But, you see, I have said this times without number. We need to build our own continent intelligence. What it means is that we have our continent data repository, right? And we also need to build our own country intelligence. Because now the data that we are throwing out there, right? Most of the data that about us, we didn't create the data.
We're not determining how it's represented.
So issues, OpenAI has put certain restrictions, there. If you want to if you ask a question, I want, teach me how to, defraud somebody or break into somebody's system, it will tell you that it's unethical and all that. They are trying to put something in place. But I could get somebody's medical record easily, which hinges on what? Data, what? Privacy. So in building our own, local systems, I think the Data Protection Agency should come in. But that also means that we are in control of our data. So where is our data? And are we in control? And then when other countries are coming to our database, do we even see it?
15%. Well, more than.
Do we even see it if, data is being accessed from our repository and all that? So right now, it's like all and sundry. Everyone is able to, if you go to DeepSeek, everything is available. But it also has issues with telling our story, because some of the stories that have been told about Africans are not the correct stories.
Exactly.
So we have to correct, some of these things, and then make sure that data about health, data, people's personal data and all that, the rules and regulations and whatever Data Protection Agency has, they would have to come in and develop a system that prevents, people, and then local chatbots that are created. They need to go through some sort of regulation. Data Protection Agency should have a repository where they can test
all of them.
All of them before they vet and then say that this one can be used in schools or can be used for health issues and all that. As we speak now, we don't have that, and that's a very huge tax
problem.
For my friend Arnold.
And touch on surveillance as well.
Surveillance in respect to
just surveillance software, surveillance things, people, other sovereign nations having access to
that is it. So it comes back to the first thing that comes to mind. I think when I was speaking to the African Diaspora Central Bank of some of their investment, I was talking about satellites. Do we have our own satellites? Do you understand? African satellites and also country satellites.
They are rushing to go and take Elon Musk satellites.
Yes, and we are just giving ourselves out. Okay, so that's where it starts. Because see, you talk about air surveillance, then you talk about the sea surveillance, then you talk about the land surveillance. These are three things if any country wants to invade. Okay, so do we have our own surveillance? Okay, I wrote a paper on port of entry and exit.
That's also on Journal Online.
On Journal Online, and I was talking about.
Journal is really benefiting from you.
Yes, I was talking about if you move a flight here and you are getting into the zone of Europe, they will have to grant you permission.
Absolutely.
To enter.
Absolutely.
So there's a point of entry.
Yeah.
But when they are coming to Africa, they just enter.
Yeah. Which is not right.
You get it?
You know, there's a maritime law, something that talks about, 200 nautical miles being yours, but it also says the ability to protect it.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the rights,
but
also you need to have the ability to protect it. They have the ability to surveil and protect their airspace. We don't.
So we talked about the fact that Africa, I was saying that they should invest, do you understand, in protecting our point, port of entry. And here port means the airport.
Sovereignty.
And then the seaport as well.
Airport, seaport, before you even get to the land port.
Yes.
So, final question, Dr. Boison. And it's been an amazing, fascinating learning hour or so. And I hope all our listeners will take their time to listen to all the morsels of wisdom. But what emerging trends should maritime and transport leaders be watching for in the next 5 to 10 years regarding AI adoption?
Within the maritime industry?
Within the maritime and transport industry.
China is already there, what I'm going to talk about. Autonomous computing is going to be the order of the day. Right.
And that's already raising ethical concerns in terms of warfare. So we spoke about it when I was talking to Lieutenant Colonel, who's now Colonel Edua, about it, yes. Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the order of the day. It's something that we are in the fourth industrial revolution and transition. I've also written on that. When you go there, you see the fourth and the fifth industrial revolution. We are moving into the fifth industrial revolution, which actually now is integrating the human part into the automation to make sure that machines don't replace, human beings.
Interesting. It's like we're going forward and coming back.
Yeah, going forward and back. And I think that will save us. So anyone designing any AI application is designing that with the mindset that
not to let it replace, but
not to replace,
to
augment. So that is really going to be something. And no one is talking about the fifth industrial revolution anyway, but it is coming strongly. To help address these things.
You know what's interesting? I nearly did my master's, or my master's was going to be concentrated on, and this is a time that I dropped out, and I later went to do my master's in e-governance. But originally, there was a course I was taking in human-centered interface, or HCI.
Why?
This was way before AI became a thing, and that's why I'm saying that we started discussing these things a long time ago. This was before 2005. I think it was around 2004.
Okay.
So it should tell you how far we've come. There's a conversation that's been going on for a while. It's like, that's why I said, looks like we've gone forward and coming back here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what we should be doing now, as in the maritime industry or any other industry, is to first of all make sure that the awareness, we are fully aware of the capabilities of AI. It is only through that we can bring the fifth industrial revolution in to complement what we are doing.
Yeah.
Of course, routine tasks will be replaced.
Those are even not necessary.
It's not necessary. So we have creative thinking. Do you understand? Now, the AI should help us to innovate.
This is crazy.
To come out with creative thinking. All right. I told my workers that in the next 3 months they will see my humanoid in the office. You come and see a robot in the office. It's not just to replace you, but if you want to do anything, engage it. You understand? So that those routine activities, it should be able to. So I'm not displacing the workers, right? But they are just.
But you're also enhancing them.
Yes.
You know, it's interesting. There are 4 zones we talk about when we talk about people development, and we talk about, growth, right? We say the coastal zone where you barely want to do anything, and it's like you're basically dead, but you're just existing, right? Then we have what we call the comfort zone. This is where people do things they're comfortable doing. And for a long time, a lot of people have been doing things they're comfortable doing, right? Then we talk about the challenge zone, where you get out of your comfort zone and start doing things you've never done before. But there's a fourth zone a lot of people have not been operating in, and now it seems like because of AI will be forced to. That's the creative zone, where you're thinking like you've never thought before. So now this is what's going to happen. People are either going to get redundant and sort of dead in the system, or the average person is now going to be thinking consistently differently, right? And it's a good thing. It's a good thing because look at the situation where some people say, oh, some people want to call the world because they feel we're getting overpopulated. I say we're not overpopulated, we're just not creating enough. So what's happening is you have a few people creating, most people consuming, and because of that, the resources seem limited. But when you have a lot more people creating, there's a lot more resources because we know how to do more than that. And I think that is what AI, that's the good AI can do if we're careful, where we all now start becoming thinkers. So you don't find people on the streets doing nothing with no aim, but they are all contributing to a creative process of making the world better. And the world will be better if we allow that.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. So that's actually what I've told them, to help them to think. And the last point I'll put across is that if you use AI for the next 3 months, you should be a different person. If you really use it the way you ought to. One guy gave me a very classic definition of AI. He said AI is the exploitation of our own unused brains.
I love it. I love it. Because really it's a collection of knowledge that people have put in one central point which was initially not accessible to all because of our bureaucracies and our, whatever you call it, all this classism and everything that did not give people access to everything. And now you have all that pool in one space. The question is, do you have the tools to engage it? So now for me, AI is like a sounding board. Instead of trying to book an appointment with somebody smarter than me that I'm taking 10 years to meet or 5 years because he's so busy, now I can engage that person, prepare my mind, get more ready, and present more credible information.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like this.
And I had to give the guy money. He's one of the lecturers at College of Health, Shinani.
Interesting.
I just called him and I said, take. And when he said that, what came to my mind was this film, Lucia.
Is it Lucy?
And Lucy.
The lady who later became 100%. Yeah. I love that movie.
All right.
I love that movie.
So if you look at so I had to go and watch that movie again, and I said that this guy really said something.
But there's something interesting that the person, I think Morgan Freeman says in the beginning of the movie, he says human beings exist to multiply. But I think he was alluding to the fact not just multiply in terms of having more children, but also multiplying knowledge. It's very interesting.
You understand? Yeah. So I just linked that to it. And let me finally say that those who were scared that AI was going to do blah, 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 I've been telling them, your microwaves, they are all AI enabled. Your vehicles are all AI enabled. Your computers are all AI. Those who produce bombs and grenades, even pump action guns, they are all AI enabled. You understand? So let's put that fear. We've been using this technology for the past.
Let's understand it.
Let's just understand it and then just move with it. Because we've been using AI. The reason why we are all scared is that this is the first time in the life of humanity that such a technology has been handed to
us on a silver platter, and it's been pervasive, but it's been used in the back doors, in the dark for so long.
Yes.
And it's interesting for us to also become more aware. I'll give you a story very quickly. When I used to stay in the US, I remember my house was automated. I've always been technology, excited, let me put it that way. And so, and before Internet of Things, we were using these very rudimentary things. So I was using these devices called extend devices that basically worked on very basic principles. You connect it to your devices and it just basically offers off and on. But then voltage increase also allowed you to do some little extra things like increase the heat, increase the warmth and whatever, just based on the amount of voltage that you allow. So the house was automated, my music, my volume, my coffee maker and everything. It was beautiful. I was connected to my computer. Back then in the computers, when you turn it on, DOS had something called wake up on net BIOS. So even when your computer was off, it wasn't totally off. It could wake up on network if you know how to program it. Now I remember one time I used to use these tools. Now we have WhatsApp and everything. But before then we used to have these ICQ. Yahoo chat and everything. And they had some vulnerabilities. I was sleeping one day and at 3 o'clock, I woke up and my music was on. It was playing metal. The whole house was loud. Lights were going off and on. And of course, because my school of reference was so limited, the first thing I thought was that ghosts had followed me from Ghana to the US. So I opened my door and I ran out. Thankfully, I wasn't as dumb as some of us are. So it took me a little running to the gate before I realized, wait a second, what's more likely that ghosts have followed me? Or that maybe that word I heard called hacking, this is me experiencing it. So I stopped, I turned around, I went back home, I went to my computer, and I realized that actually I had been hacked. Now imagine if hacking was not something I was aware of. I probably would never go back to the house. Right? Yeah. I would be sitting there till today thinking some ghost has changed me, feeling haunted and following Malam to Malam. So I found out later who hacked me. He was laughing. He was basically just having fun, right? But then I understood the risks and the vulnerability. And that's when I went into network security.
Oh, okay.
So it's important for us to be aware. Sometimes your car can be hacked right now because it's a computer. Your house can be hacked. But if you're aware, you know how to respond. If you're not aware and you're very oblivious and you're very scared of it, then you will freeze, right? And then the damage is even worse. So I thought I'll add that to what you just said.
All right. So let me just say that for the AI Africa, those who want to be trained, they can reach out to me. My telephone number is 0207696296.
Okay.
Or they can, email to Knowledge Web Center knowledge, and then web. The center is CENTER. It's not RE at gmail.com.
So Knowledge Web Center
at gmail.com. You can reach out. Otherwise, our office at Spinters, Google Knowledge Web Center. We are there. And we just thank God that out of about 120 consultants across Africa, we came up as the most preferred to handle this project. And we are doing 11 million from now to 2028.
Guys, I'm one. I don't know who the rest of the 99 are, but I hope you will join us as we...
And then if you have, we are doing the 54 countries, and we are willing to engage if you want to lead and train some other countries. When you come in, we sit and then we talk, and then we give you, we will take you through, because you're already in the system, we will take you through how we train people so that you follow that methodology.
I'm definitely interested.
And then we are good to go.
I'm definitely interested. My tech connectors, my Mehima people, my Ohineba, my health sector connect, my Toastmasters, my Rotarians, all of them want everybody to learn.
Yeah. And just imagine if we have just 1 million Ghanaians trained in AI.
Wow.
What will happen to this economy?
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I invite all of you to. And I didn't know you founded Texonnect. So it's a privilege to meet you.
Of
but I know you. I don't know that you are behind the scene doing this. Thank you so much for having me on this program.
And it's been Texonnect Voices. It's been amazing. It's only getting better and better. I hope you've watched everything. You're taking notes because we're learning together. And by episode 20, if you've not watched episode 1, I think we'll be worlds apart. Thank you so much, Dr. Boison. So much knowledge has been shared. And we're definitely probably going to engage you again just from this prompting.
No problem. That will be fine. Maybe we can do some practice, live.
That would be good.
I have moved from teaching with slides.
Yep. Practical.
Practical. Yep. I always want to, otherwise you're wasting the time.
Absolutely. So we'll have to find the right setup. It means we have to evolve even as a studio. So thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Boison.
Yeah.
Have a great day.